Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Scouting 5, recapping scouting news from around the world for the week of October 5th, 2020. I'm Scouter Ken, and I'm once again recording from St. Albert, Alberta. Scouts Canada is partnering with an award-winning educator and resiliency expert, as well as a mother of three, Dr. Robin Hanley-Dafoe. And through this partnership, they're hoping to provide Canadian families with tools and knowledge to better navigate risk and challenge, not just during the pandemic that is still ravaging much of the world, but also in everyday life. The Guide to Resilient Children is a free resource which launched this week. You can find it at scouts.ca, and it offers everyday tips, practices, sustainable solutions, and age-appropriate goals that you can use to help your children develop resiliency. Resiliency has kind of been a big focus for Scouts Canada over the last couple of years, especially, of course, now in light of the pandemic. That was certainly one of the areas of focus that were identified in the research that was done between Scouts Canada and parents when the pandemic first hit, and Scouts Canada began researching what parents were looking for in a youth program, and especially, as youth programs were able to resume in-person programming. Dr. Hanley-Dafoe specializes in youth resiliency, coaches kids in navigating stress and coping with change, developing leadership skills, and also maintaining their personal wellness. She also actually specializes in, adults as well, and helping them maintain personal wellness in the workplace. Her writing and research is touted as having a very refreshing approach that looks at resiliency from a number of different vantage points, and again, is intended to sort of be accessible to everyone. And she obviously has a number of her own insights to share in this regard, given that she's able to, juggle a very successful career in this field with being a family person, raising 3 children. Scouts Canada, for their part, will actually be hosting a free webinar with her on Sunday, October 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, or 11 a.m. Pacific Time, to discuss these principles of building resiliency. She'll also be offering steps families can take at home to enable parents and will enable parents to ask questions. The resiliency webinar is free to register for, again, at scouts.ca. The Guide to Resilient Children also emphasizes the role of outdoor play, a fundamental need for children, which has become also quite limited during the past 6 months as a result of the many challenges that Canada and the rest of the world have faced. Scouts Canada, for their part, recognizes that outdoor activities not only support physical development, but also cognitive functioning development, such as the use of imagination, which fosters creativity and problem solving. Each year in the city of Washington, Iowa, in the run-up to Thanksgiving, the local Scout troops go door to door to collect food. Although the event will look a little bit different this year, it will be going forward. Boy Scouts of America, Pack and Troop 242 are having a central drop-off for their annual Scouting for Food drive this year, and I imagine that is something that we will see replicated in other places as well. The change, as you might expect, is to help hold the event safely due to continuing concerns around the coronavirus. Donations of canned food can be dropped off at Archer's in Washington. Actually, they're already accepting them and will continue to accept them through to Saturday, October 10th. During the normal business hours for the store. Another option is to contact Troop Representative Kathy Fields. If you click through the link in the show notes, there will be some contact information for her. And a troop leader will arrange to come and pick up your donation in front of your residence. Please do check the expiration dates on donated items, as things that are past their due date cannot be accepted. And like I say, again, I imagine that we will see similar methods employed for Scouting for Food in different places throughout the United States in the weeks to come. This next story is really, really cool. It's a really nice coda to a story that started some years ago, actually. So I don't know if I've ever actually talked about this young lady on the podcast. I may have mentioned her, but definitely, her story kind of first came to light before I started doing the Scouting 5 episodes. And that is, of course, the story of Sydney Ireland, who is one of the young women who is sort of one of the key voices urging for Boy Scouts of America, now Scouts BSA, to accept female membership. And her story is kind of interesting because she was involved in Scouting activities for around 15 years. And she's been urging the BSA to open up to female membership for about 9 years now as official badge-earning members. On October 1st, Miss Ireland, now age 19, finally earned her Eagle Scout rank. Now, she had been sort of an unofficial member of BSA groups since she was 4 years old, basically following her brothers through, I believe, and working along, badge requirements alongside them. She actually became the first female to successfully complete all the requirements to earn Eagle rank more than 2 years ago, finalizing what was then her Eagle project, Connect a Vet with a Pet, on Veterans Day in 2018. And I believe she had to redo some of that because of the way the Eagle Scout requirements are worded, which requires you to actually be an official member of Scouts BSA in order to qualify for having, in order for the completion of a project to actually qualify. So I think she had to redo a lot of her project. And of course, normally Eagle Scouts do need to complete their board of review before the age of 18. But BSA did grant an extension to all girls under 18 to achieve their Eagle Scout rank within a certain time frame after the move to allow female membership. In order to, give them a bit of a window of opportunity to catch up. And certainly that has benefited Miss Ireland, who, again, is 19, and she's actually now a sophomore at Amherst College. But she is one of the inaugural class of women who are poised to become, or in this case, have become, Eagle Scouts. So that's really, really awesome, and it's kind of a nice coda to the story of a person who was instrumental in bringing female membership, or urging for female membership in Scouts BSA. Specifically because, she wanted to earn her Eagle, and now she has. Last week, on October 2nd, I believe, the province of Ontario outlined new guidelines and recommendations to reduce community transmission of COVID-19, especially in certain geographical hotspots. This echoed similar measures taken in late September 24th, where the Health Minister of Ontario, along with the Chief Medical Officer of Quebec, released recommendations to limit non-essential social gatherings. For these reasons, and following the recommendations made by regional and provincial health experts, Voyageur Council, one of the scouting councils that covers part of Ontario, made the decision to halt all in-person activities for at least 2 weeks, so at least until October 16th, or until further notice. After October 16th, they will reevaluate and assess the guidelines that have been put in place, follow government regulations and recommendations, as well as Scouts Canada standards, before allowing in-person meetings to resume. So Scouts in at least parts of Ontario, all Scout groups within Voyageur Council cannot conduct in-person activities from October 2 until October 2nd until at least October 16th, and possibly more than that. Voyageur Council, for their part, note that they recognize that this may impact events and meetings that have already been fully planned, but they need to ensure that they are doing their part to keep everyone safe. During this pause from in-person scouting, they're encouraging their groups to, of course, conduct virtual activities if possible, and also encouraging scouting families to find opportunities as families, not as scout groups, to get outside for outdoor play. Their announcement, of course, also mentions Dr. Robin Hanley Defoe's Guide to Resilient Children and the importance of outdoor play and the importance of building resiliency in children. And they encourage, actually, parents to sign up for the webinar that we mentioned just a few minutes ago. And since that announcement came out, the same announcement was, or an identical announcement was published by the Scouting Council that covers the city of Toronto. Which off the top of my head now eludes me. I think that's Battlefields Council, but don't quote me on that. At any rate, with COVID-19 cases on the rise in the city of Toronto, the Greater Toronto Council, sorry, I was wrong, it's not Battlefields, Greater Toronto Council has carefully considered options for a safe program for their members, and in the best interests of ensuring the health of their members, they have decided to halt in-person gatherings as well for scout groups under the council. So that's unfortunate. We obviously don't like to see scout groups have to, again, accept a period of not being able to conduct physical activities, but Ontario in particular has been rather hard hit with seemingly a second wave of coronavirus cases. And so the scout councils there are evidently taking extra precautions to ensure that scouting is not a transmission vector for their youth members. Recently, a rare, almost hurricane-like storm swept across Greece, flooding streets and homes and cutting power. Actually, this happened in the last 2 weeks of September. And in less than 3 months, the region of Karditsa has faced actually another episode of like heavy rainstorms, which have resulted in flooding, more damage, and even more casualties. The Greek Scouts, however, mobilized, stepped up. Dozens of volunteers came forward to offer relief assistance in close collaboration with local civil protection services. Scouts got out and got good and muddy, but they were out there working on decluttering home entrances, helping residents regain access to their homes and yards. Evidently, dozens of houses were affected by the flooding. There were also several bridges that collapsed, and many livestock units were drowned or lost in the rising water. The Scouts, so in addition to helping people regain access to their homes, have also been just helping the community clean out mud that's been deposited by the storm. They've also been offering assistance to the elderly. They've also been helping with the arranging of food banks and the distribution of food to provide comfort and support to those who've been affected by all of this. And that is all the news I have for you this week. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, be prepared.